Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining EliteCISOs Weekly webinar that we conduct every Thursday at 11 o'clock. As you can see, the format for today is going to be very different. The title is A Day in the Life at a SOC. So all the previous webinars that we have done, it is going to be very different from them, right? Typically, we used to have a speaker talking about the particular technology for about 40-45 minutes. But this one is going to be a role play kind of session. So very first time we are going to try this. And in this role play, what's going to happen is we have 3 expert individuals from NetWitness RSA, and they will be playing a different role of a SOC individual. So let's say a SOC analyst, SOC manager, and CISO. So when in a typical day, what happens in a SOC and how these profiles and these roles take care of the different incidents during the day. That's what the role play we are going to do. I think it's going to be a very interesting session. From an agenda perspective, as you see, it's a quick introduction, and then we do our typical quiz of 2 questions. And then after the quiz, we will have about 40-45 minute role play session. And then at the end, we will save about 10 minutes for Q&A. And I will share the password to download your participation certificate. We will have Wheel of Fortune. And the giveaway for today is Amazon Alexa. We will run our Wheel of Fortune and we'll pick one lucky winner. And then we will open the registration for next week as well. Okay, guys. And this session is already being recorded. I'm not sure whether there are going to be slides or not, because it's going to be a role play. But the recording will be available on our website, and you can review it later as well if you like. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of people in past have attended EliteCISOs session. And typically what we do is we throw this challenge in every webinar or every session that we do. And that is stand and attend. Now, what is stand and attend challenge is, if we are going to sit for the entire day, right? As I tell every time that we are in a work from home situation, even if you are going to office, you are sitting a lot. If you sit a lot, you will get all these problems, right? The foggy brain, the strained neck and all. And we do not want this kind of problem. So what the solution? The solution is very simple, that you simply stand, okay? While you are working at home, while you are in office, or while even you are attending this session, I give this challenge that you stand while you are attending the webinar. So what benefits you can get? You can get a lot of benefits like less pain in your body. You will lose more calories. You will be more fitter, and you will think sharper. Okay, guys, all these benefits are there of standing while you are attending the session or doing your day-to-day routine office job. Okay, guys, so this challenge is for everyone. I'm not saying just for the participants, but the panelists as well. Chongming, I gave this challenge last time also, right, when you attended. So again, this challenge is for panelists as well. So go to the chat and type yes, guys, if you are attending this, if you are accepting this challenge. And I see people are already responding that they are accepting the challenge before me even asking for it, because it's a typical challenge that we give in every session. I might sound monotonous in this one, but it is pretty good. I mean, the benefits are immense. So we try to throw this challenge in every webinar, and I see a lot of people are accepting the challenge as well. So that's great. Okay, guys, now you are standing and you are thinking sharper. So let's go to our quiz. So next is the quiz. Okay, guys, it is fastest finger first quiz. You have to look at the answer and you have to look at the question and type the answer as early as possible. If you do not know the answer, go to Google, check it out, but type it as early as possible and send it to panelists and all participants. Don't just send it to panelists, because then we are not able to track who gave the right answer first. Okay, guys. So here goes the first question. The first question is, what does 𝗟𝗯 stands for? Okay, 𝗟𝗯 rule, everybody knows. We use it in our SOC for threat hunting and all. What is the full form? What does 𝗟𝗯 stands for? Not the language, not the threat hunting. I need what 𝗟𝗯 as an abbreviation stands for. Not radio association, no. Yet another rule analysis. Okay, we will see what the answer is. Okay, let's see. I think the answers are coming in right. Okay, so answer is another recursive acronym or yet another ridiculous acronym. These are the full form for 𝗟𝗯. So we will see who gave the first answer. we will go through the chat. Okay, guys, second question coming up on your screen now. Second question is, who first introduced the pyramid of pain? Pyramid of pain is typically very well known in the SOC community. We put our analysis, our hunting around this. So who first introduced the pyramid of pain? I need the name of that individual. I need the name. David Bianco. Yes, I see the name coming in. Very nice, very nice. So David Bianco is not the full name. David J. Bianco is the full name. Great. So David J. Bianco introduced this pyramid of pain, which SOC analysts use while they are troubleshooting or while they are addressing the issues in the SOC. So those are the two questions of quiz. Answers are on your screen. We will go through the answers in the chat and find out who the winner is. Okay, with this, let me transfer it over to Sriram from NetWitness. Sriram will introduce the speakers and will set the context in terms of what we are going to discuss in this session for next about 45-50 minutes. So over to you, Sriram. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to have you on this webinar. Since there are a lot of CISOs on board, I thought I'll start with a joke about CISO's budget, but on the information security budget. But then I decided to trim it, right? So yes, so like Vikas said, we are planning to do a small role play. And as you get into the role play, you will understand the roles and responsibilities of the individual persons. The cyber attacks or the the cybersecurity failures is something not new, and everyone in this forum is aware of. The World Economic Forum in the Global Risk Report has been naming cybersecurity failures or cyber attacks, for that matter, as one of the major risks consistently over the past few years. With the recent news about SolarWinds and security vendor itself being very vulnerable to a high-profile cyber fraud, and also some of the e-commerce breaches that we have seen in India, we can see that there are a spectrum of cyber attacks being widespread. Now, this has led to a major conversation changes in the boardroom from, what happened to that company which was cyber attacked, from that posture to saying, hey, are we safe now? What can we do to be safe now, right? So today we're going to be talking about one such scenario where, about an organization on any day and how RSA NetWitness can help you on that day, right? Over to the cert person.
Thanks, Sriram. So, Mr. CISO, how are you? I'm calling from the cert department.
Very good morning. How can I help you today?
So, Mr. CISO, I hope you are aware that your customer data is available over the dark web since Saturday. We haven't heard from you or your team. What are you doing about the incidents? Have you done an evidence collection or are you doing an impact analysis, Mr. CISO?
My customer data, I'm not sure if I'm following you here.
So, Mr. CISO, well, I am a little disappointed that you are hearing from me for the first time. Your customer data is available on the internet and it's available at a very cheap rate, as cheap as a pizza.
No, I'm sure if there is anything, then my SOC team is already working on this.
So, Mr. CISO, I wish to believe you here. We'll be waiting to hear from you. I will call you in about 2 hours and hope you will have more insights at that point of time, Mr. CISO.
Sure, thank you. Let me call my SOC manager right away. Hey, SOC manager.
Hey, Mr. CISO, hi.
Hi. I know you've informed me about some suspicious activity in our network on Saturday, but now I'm being notified about a potential breach in our critical systems and our data being made available over the internet. The CERT team just called me to inform that our customer data is available over the dark web. Is it somehow related to the incident that you reported to me on Saturday?
Yes, Mr. CISO. This sounds exactly like the incident that we are working on right now.
And I did ask you to give me an impact assessment report, right? On how did this attack really happen and what's the impact? And this was supposed to be at my desk on Sunday. It's been more than 24 hours. I haven't got anything. Where are you stuck? What's the hold up?
So it's like me and my team, we are still working on it, gathering the required data. It's taking some time, but we are on it. We're on the forensic investigation piece.
Mr. SOC manager, I suggest you better come out of your Instagram reels and face the reality. If this is a breach, we're in a firefighting situation. Bring out your best gear and get into the hunting mode.
There definitely seems to be something wrong with the incident. I do have some data with me that I can share with you.
Spill the beans then. Show me.
Okay, so I have a slide deck which I can share. So here how it goes. So we looked at the events, the data that has been gathered, the indicators that were suggested. So if you look at this slide, there were a lot of events where a process or a user is trying to brute force and guess a password, get into the systems. 2 out of 20 were successful, and unfortunately, those 2 were our Active Directory and database. And we got to know that once the user got access to the domain controller through brute force, there was a new user created, and that new user was used to access the database. We also found out with the database events that certain select queries were executed. This is all we have found till now.
Do we know what's the output of those database queries? Was there anything they were able to extract out of the database? Anything that went out of our network?
We did get to see the select queries. We do not have visibility on whether the content was copied into a file or sent it outside. That's the investigation that we are currently on, because our system does not have that complete visibility yet.
So we are doing POC of RSA NetWitness, right? And I recall they mentioned the POC addresses the issues that we are facing regarding the visibility for the investigation like these. I'm being told that they are doing something on the logs, packets, and the UVA analysis as well. Can you check there? I'm sure it's in a POC mode, so I believe none of your team members would have bothered to check in. And if you need any help, call that RSA guy. They have the incident response team as well. If you need any help with regards to triage, I'm sure they can help as well.
You're right. You're right here, Mr. CISO. I'm sure me and my team, we both missed out looking on that POC set of NetWitness. Let me work on this. Give me some time. I'll get my security analyst on call, talk to him, and I'll get back to you ASAP.
Sure, I'll be waiting.
Okay, so I'll just get my security analyst on call. Hey, security analyst.
Hi, Mr. SOC Manager.
Hi. So do you have any update on the issue that you were working on since we spoke last?
No, unfortunately, nothing more than what I have already shared with you. And I'm actually still waiting for some more updates from the network and the DB team based on the current system that we have currently that's in place.
So, we have a NetWitness POC setup as well, right? Did you get a chance to look at that?
Yes, I did. I did manage to actually get access to the POC system. So it's actually great that you mentioned that, because one of the things that I did, but I was actually going to report it to you, was I've gotten the RSA folks, the incident response folks involved as well, to kind of look at some of the data that we have possibly collected via NetWitness to piece everything together for us.
Okay, great. Good that you're working on that. Did you get by any chance to look at any output of those select queries, the select database queries that we saw in our system?
Yeah, so I'm actually happy to tell you that we got a lot more visibility as a result of the POC, and we were able to see the output of those select queries that we have been struggling with for the last few days.
Nice. That's exactly something that we're looking for. So hear me out. Let's do this. I'll get Mr. CISO on call. If you have access to the setup, show it to us. Show what evidence you have. Maybe we'll get what we're looking for then. Yep. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. So
works for me.
Let me get the CISO on call here. Hello, Mr. CISO.
Hello, gentlemen. I hope you have some data points for me.
We do. So our security analyst here will walk us through the NetWitness platform and setup, and I believe we exactly have what we are looking for.
Great. I'm all eyes and ears.
Right. Good morning, Mr. CISO. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update of some of the findings that we have gotten as a result of the POC that we had. I have to say that we were very fortunate that we had this particular POC system at this point of time, because it really gave us quite a fair bit of insights into what exactly has happened. So let me just go through the system with you right away, right? So what you're seeing right here, Mr. CISO, is
Mr. Analyst, hear me out.
Mr. CISO.
I've got 3 basic questions for you, and I want you to answer those for me. Okay, 3 basic, simple questions. Okay, how did the attack started? What happened during the attack? Okay, and is there anything that went out of our network? What's the impact that we had of this attack? Do you have answers for these 3 questions for me?
Mr. CISO, I'm happy to tell you, I'm glad to tell you that I do actually have those answers prepared for you. And I can show them to you in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, then I'm all ears. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. CISO. So what you're seeing here right now is the NetWitness platform, which very thankfully we've gotten the RSA guys who basically got us in touch with one of their incident response analysts, who essentially took us through a few of the things that we could possibly look at and possibly piece together. So what you're seeing here, Mr. CISO, is the result of an automated correlation whereby we have the RSA NetWitness platform have detected that something was suspicious about this particular IP address, 192.168.60.65. And eventually, we found out that this IP address has a direct relation to the incident that we have discovered on Saturday by our existing SIEM solution, which couldn't give us the context that we wanted. So what NetWitness was able to do for us is to piece all of this information together, correlate them together, and form an incident. And what do I mean by that? Let me give you a very high-level explanation. Mr. CISO, what you're seeing here is what RSA call a nodal view. A nodal view is an overall representation of everything that was correlated and everything that's happening to this particular IP address. You see that the IP address has a larger circle, and everything on the left are the correlated events. So one of the things that we did manage to discover in the past was we didn't have visibility into net flow data. And that was one of the things that RSA NetWitness advocates on. And I was wondering in the past, why do we need net flow data? And this use case actually exhibited why exactly do we need that. So if I were to mouse over and click on any of those events that's on the left, if I were to click on the first, it's going to focus on all the net flow data traffic that is related to this IP address 192.168.60.65. And what I can see is basically this one IP address is initiating reconnaissance scan with multiple internal assets. And I could only do that because I am collecting net flow data today. Our existing SIEM wasn't able to see all of this reconnaissance activity. And why is this important, Mr. CISO? Reconnaissance is very often the very first step of an attack. An attacker will always try to do reconnaissance scans to find out what are the assets that's within our environment, what are the assets that are potentially vulnerable or the easiest to get into. So this is actually a very, very important step that we need to have visibility over. So let me drill in deeper into what exactly has happened. So if I were to look at the information in detail by drilling into the events itself, this is actually what you have seen, which is the nodal view earlier on, but represented in a more technical manner. And this is every analyst's favorite screen, essentially, right? And what do we see over here, right? We'll read this particular piece of information like how we would read a book. And essentially on the first line, right, this is where all the different logs are. What you see is you have seen a successful login by a user called 𝗟𝗶𝗳𝗲. That's the first activity that has happened on the 25th of May at 10:38 p.m. Now, I have checked. 𝗟𝗶𝗳𝗲 is a current administrator, a domain administrator, so it's absolutely all right for him to be logging into the system, right? But what we had detected was that after he had logged in using this IP address 192.168.60.65, what NetWitness have detected is there was a series of suspicious events. And let me go through this series of suspicious events with you. As I scroll down reading this like a book in a chronological order, I see multiple net flow events, which was actually what I showed you earlier on. Like I say, this is a representation of the nodal view, but in a more technical manner. So you see all of this net flow connection, which is indicative of a reconnaissance scan. And you will see that it happens within split second on the left side, which means that this could be something that a bot or a script is doing. Somebody might have planted a script into our environment and started doing this. So if I were to scroll down, Mr. CISO, right, I'll see multiple net flow event. And at 11:33 p.m., right, I'm going to check it. This net flow event stopped. And we see a different side of things right now. So the story took a different turn, whereby we see multiple failed login events, which is very indicative that the attacker was trying to do a brute force attack after the reconnaissance scan. That's right. So we are also able to see that the user that was being used in the brute force attack is root, and these are the hosts that they were trying to access. So if I were to click on any of these events, we'll see the raw logs, and we'll see that this is the username, which is root, and this is a failed login attempt. Okay, and this is the server that is trying to log into. So we see multiple failed login, and again, that is very indicative of an attack, because attacker do a reconnaissance scan, subsequently cast the net as wide as they possibly can to try to launch a brute force attack. So we saw multiple failed logins, right? So all these are still good information that not just the logs is able to provide for us, but also net flow data. So, you know, what I want to look out for, and I'm hoping that they are all failed logins, because it means that the attacker is not able to penetrate in. But unfortunately, Mr. CISO, we had detected that there was a successful login at 11:34 p.m. And the successful login was using the username administrator and logging in into the domain controller. So we want to know what happened right after that. This is when our, it's like a heightened alert at this point of time. So the next thing that we saw after a successful login was the user using administrator went into the domain controller and create a user called Bob Super User. We can see that account was created successfully. So there was a brute force. Yep, there was a successful brute force login using administrator. Administrator created another user called Bob Super User. So again, reading this like, you know, it's a book, right? The next thing that will happen after the super user, Bob Super User was created, was Bob Super User was subsequently used to log into the SQL database. So created a user, Bob Super User in domain controller, used Bob Super User and logged into the SQL database. And subsequently, these were some of the things that we have also reported to you, that there was some select statement that was being ran. So basically, Bob Super User did a select start from finance, which is to output all the finance file, followed by a select statement to output everything that is in HR file. So what we also realized, what we also detected, right, which was a challenge in our current SIM, was subsequently, Bob Super User was deleted from the domain controller, possibly because the attacker wants to hide his track after using Bob Super User to do all the nefarious activities. So
but did they get anything from our system? Was there any output of that select queries that were run on the finance, on the HR side?
Yes, Mr. CISO, first and foremost, let me apologize that, you know, for the last 2 days, we weren't able to get any information from our current system until we got hold of the RSA system. And we managed to actually do that with RSA NetWitness. And it was also because we had decided to do a POC on network packets. And it's because it is because of the POC that we gained the sort of visibility that we wanted into what exactly was exfiltrated out. Allow me to go through that with you, Mr. CISO.
Okay.
So as you scroll down, Mr. CISO, you will see this event over here, the one that I'm going to check right away. Okay, and you will see that the type is actually different, right? On the second column, everything is denoted like a notepad, but over here, this is denoted differently, and that's because this is a network traffic. So this is what NetWitness is doing. NetWitness basically includes network forensic into the traditional SIM and call it the evolved SIM. So over here, what we see is network traffic and SIM together in a single platform to give us an end-to-end story of exactly what has happened. So let me show you what went on within the network traffic itself. If I were to click on it, it's going to show me the first thing that this is actually a FTP traffic. And I know that because service is 21 and port 21 is indicative that this is FTP. And that's right. And the thing about NetWitness is, you know, what it does is it translates packets, which actually looks like this, right? This is how raw packet looks like. It automatically translates them into text for us. So it took away the need to have strong, deep technical expertise to look at packets and translate it automatically into human readable text for us. So we are able to see over here the FTP transfer that has happened. So there's a user called Bob with a password, and we saw that there was a transfer of finance.txt out of the environment, and there was a transfer of HR.txt out of the environment. So this was what Packet Solution was able to do for us, Mr. CISO. Now,
can I see these two files, this finance.txt and the HR.txt? Can I
definitely,
see these?
Definitely so, Mr. CISO. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself because this is such a interesting finding that we have found. So one of the things that NetWitness is also able to do is to do what they call packet reconstruction. So if this is a FTP traffic, as we know, port 21, and we know that there were files that was being sent out, we can click on the file column, which is the third part over here. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to see the 2 files that is in the network traffic itself. And I'm able to actually download these files and do my analysis. So Mr. CISO, again, we were not able to do all of these steps because we had to rely on the database administrator and the network administrator to provide us the information. And unfortunately, when the incident happened on the weekend, they were not on duty, they were not working. And when they came back on Monday, this wasn't top of their priority. But with NetWitness, we are able to download this file immediately and allow me, Mr. CISO, to share the output of the files with you. So unfortunately, this was how the HR file looked like. It contained information about our organization, about basically their hire date, their current salary, their first and last name, and employee ID. And I believe this was the same set of data that the CERT actually shared with us. Now, this other set of data is the finance data, which I've also downloaded from RSA NetWitness. And this basically contains some of our finance information over here. So, the next step that I did was to correspond this set of data to what was being leaked, and it actually corresponded. And at this point of time, Mr. CISO, I'm able to tell you that as far as the data that was leaked, it is limited to these 2 files that was leaked onto the internet.
But Mr. Analyst, we know what they took out. We know what they did when they were in the network. But how did they get in? How did they get into our network?
Good question, Mr. CISO. And again, because we engaged the RSA IR team, one of the things that they actually saw as a result of automated correlation and network traffic collection was they saw a series of phishing emails that were sent to our environment. And this is essentially how it looked like. Basically, there was an incident called phishing obfuscated link that was fired automatically in RSA NetWitness. And here we see that there was an external IP sending multiple emails to all of these internal IP, right? So we want to drill a little bit deeper into this incident. And Mr. CISO, let me jump straight into what matters the most, which is the reconstruction of the email itself. We know that this is a phishing email that was being sent from traffic analysis or network analysis. What we are able to do, just like how we could reconstruct the files from FTP traffic, we could reconstruct the email from an SMTP traffic, for instance. And this is exactly how the phishing email that entered our environment looked like. Again, Mr. CISO, if I were to, go to the email gateway and try to pull out this email, it will take a very long time, and I need to, go to the email administrator. But with this solution, the SOC team have the information at the tip of their, basically right in front of them. So we know that this is a phishing email. And how do we know that? Because NetWitness have detected one very one particular area that is indicated that this is a phishing email. We saw that this was a email that was sent by Facebook, although the email address looks dubious, right? What NetWitness have actually detected is that in the email content itself, it says click on facebook.com. What NetWitness was able to detect is if you click on facebook.com, and I'm going to click on it over here, NetWitness tells me that it's sending me to this particular IP address. And NetWitness is very well aware that this IP address does not actually correspond to facebook.com. And therefore, the alert that this is a possible obfuscated link. Obfuscated link basically means that this is telling you it's facebook.com, but it's actually bringing you to another site. So this is exactly what we saw, right, just before the attack that I have described earlier on happened. So this incident happened before the attack. And that led me to think that these 2 incidents are actually related. In another word, the attacker possibly got in via a phishing email that somebody in the organization have clicked on and basically started the attack. Now, I wanted to drill a little bit deeper, Mr. CISO. I wanted to know how many people click on this particular link and what happened when our users click on this particular link. And the other thing that we were able to do was to basically see that there are multiple IP addresses. You see right on top, source IP, who have clicked on this destination IP address, which is the phishing sites, or rather phishing IP, right? And what happened after this was being clicked on, right, was that there was a particular file, the exe file, that was being downloaded after the user had clicked on the file. So, Mr. CISO, let me show it to you in a different manner. Yes, Mr. CISO, is there something I...
No. I want to see what file is this here.
Yeah, sure. So let me just change that to a different format, Mr. CISO, and we will be able to see the exact file that was being sent.
Okay.
Just give me
So
a
now
second.
basically we can see that how they got in. So phishing is the way that they were able to get into a network. They got into a network and then they did the scan, and using the brute force, they were able to compromise to one of our DC COM1 server, the domain controller, and they were able to create a user, get into our database and extracted the data.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Mr. CISO. So let me go ahead and show you a different screen first, Mr. CISO, while this is loading, just to give you an idea of exactly what has happened. All right. So, Mr. CISO, let me know if you are seeing my screen in the full presentation mode, or if you are not.
I can.
Great. Yeah. So, to answer the 3 questions that you have stated, Mr. CISO, how did the attack happen? So basically with NetWitness, right, using network packets, we were able to detect that there was a phishing email that was being sent, like I've shown you earlier on. Organization victim clicked on the email and downloaded a malicious file, which gave a remote access to an external attacker. That was what we found out. That was how the attack started. What happened during the attack, Mr. CISO? With the use of NetFlow, which doesn't exist in our current SIEM, we were able to detect that there were reconnaissance attempts, and with logs, we were able to map out the entire attack. But we know that this is insufficient because the CERT is asking us what was the impact of the attack, what was stolen, right? What matters really to the organization is what is the monetary loss or potential reputational loss. And that was the most difficult question to answer, Mr. CISO, unfortunately. And we were able to see that with deep packet analysis, we were able to immediately reconstruct the exfiltrated sensitive data for impact assessment to management and to CERT, right? So, Mr. CISO, I just wanted to say, in this experience that I have, if you allow me to kind of share this, right, is, you have taken 4 different platforms for us, and some of them, we don't even have it today, right, to do this particular piece of work or this particular analysis. But with RSA NetWitness, and fortunately in the POC, we were able to achieve this level of investigation within 20 minutes, and all this via a single NetWitness platform, Mr. CISO.
Okay.
So this was essentially what we were able to do.
Right. I hear you. So if we see that we were under attack, right? And the NetWitness solution using logs and packets, they did manage to raise the flag that we were under attack. Also, you said the RSA, the incident response team, got on board and they helped you to triage the incident as well. And if probably would have called them earlier, our response time would have been much less, but because they were the POC, I can understand. So it definitely means the solution is effective, right? So thank you, Mr. Analyst. SOC Manager, I would be waiting for more detailed report on this, right? So that I can submit this to CERT and to our board.
Sure,
and meanwhile, I will also look for an emergency procurement for the RSA component and the incident response service for the future as well. I'm going to call the RSA guy and the RSA team, in fact, and tell them that we're not returning the boss. We're going to move this to the production, and probably we'll have your team start doing the monitoring on the packets as well. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. SOC Manager. Thank you, Mr. Analyst. Thanks for the insights. I'll wait for your report to take it further from here.
Great. So, all right, everyone, thank you. So this is curtains down, and that was a glimpse into a day in the life at a SOC, where we saw a small team working on an incident to find out how one single platform had so much more insights to offer for complete threat detection and response. Thank you very much for your time, and over to you, Vikas.
Yeah, this was fascinating, man. Very, very nice role play. Kudos to you all. I mean, I've been doing these webinars from past almost 3 years now, and I haven't seen anything like this. So very nice format. Really kudos to you guys. Very well done. Perfect. So it is 11:37. I think we have enough time for question answers. I think a lot of people are appreciating on chat as well on the WhatsApp platform, WhatsApp groups that we have. So really, really good job done, guys. Shall we open up for question answers? So if anybody has any question, maybe you can put it in a Q&A tab, or we can unmute you. You can raise your hand and then we will unmute you. Okay. Mr. Murugan has a question. I'm going to unmute you. So guys, please raise your hand if you want to ask any question, or if you have any comment and suggestion.
Can you able to hear me, Vikas?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just give me one quick moment. So what I'm saying is, guys, raise your hand if you have any question, or if you want to comment, share your thoughts around the role play session that we had. So we will unmute you and then you can share your thoughts. So yeah, Muruganji, please go ahead, ask your question.
Thanks for the wonderful team role play. Really, it created a trigger. I like to see some of the servers, but we are having IPv6 actually. Okay, how this tool will work on the IPv6? So far, we are discussing everything on IPv4. Some comment about NetWitness working on IPv6. While POC, something can be attempted.
If I understand your question correctly, what you meant is how do we get the level of visibility if it's IPv6? Is that correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. So we are able to support IPv6 today in terms of getting the level of visibility that you require on a very high level. So even if that is already something that we do support. Generally people are also asking, how do you deal with, say, encrypted traffic, for instance, right? So we are able to also work with either third-party decryption tool, or we are able to natively decrypt some of the traffic that is incoming as well. So answer short is we are able to work with IPv6, whether it is logs or network packets.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikas.
Sure, thanks. Anybody else? Any comments, questions? Great, I don't see any other raised hands. So Rajneesh, do you have any thoughts you want to share? I mean, we have time, so I want to utilize that.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas. No, I think wonderful session done by the team. And as you know, this is the first time we also are trying, and like you said, you also trying for the first time, but excellently, I mean, very well presented. I hope this was able to make sense to the audience. I mean, that is what we are looking at. And so what this tool really helps is, I mean, all of us know about the log management solution. What do we do when we get into this situation where we are in some threat, or there is something malicious we need to figure out in the network? Is only when we get more visibility or what's going on the network, and that is where tools like this will really help you to equip yourself as to what's going on, and you could answer your management, your board, and to the external agencies. So that is what I would really say, and I would request wherever you guys, I mean, anybody feels that this is making sense, we can get into more conversations around this, and we'll continue to really get onto this platform, Vikas, and try to bring some more innovation and keep everybody really charged up with the technology as well. Not talking too much on technology, but bringing the gist of it. So that's my perspective. Back to you, Vikas.
Sounds good, Rajneesh. I mean, one is that we are breaking the PowerPoint monotony, because every session, okay, we do a typical opening, then PowerPoint, then closing. But this has been a great refresher, and lot of I think there's an offer already for SOC analyst. That okay, you can join our organization. This is such a nice analysis he has done, and CISO has been very cool. I mean, generally we get fired up. How this incident happened? Give me the report right now. This CISO is very cool and calm. So very good, Simranjit. Very nice.
Maybe we could impersonate others well, but may not be CISO. But we could take a CISO from the live industry next time onwards if we do something like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think two people have raised hands, so I'm going to unmute Anil Chiplankarji from Mumbai and Pushpendra from Bangalore. Go ahead, Anilji, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for giving opportunity to speak. And I really want to give kind of kudos to the creative director of this session. It was really like watching through a movie how actually it unfolds, an incident analysis unfolds in the real life scenario. So as you rightly said, instead of having a PPT, this is a really a kind of wonderful scenario. And I personally like the way the CISO presented, because he already have faced the challenge. He has seen the incident, and now he is very keen in looking into how he can analyze and protect it further. So I personally like the way he presented. So thanks to the team.
Thanks, Anil sir. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate that. Pushpendra ji, please go ahead, unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
Hello. Hey, hi, Vikas.
Hey.
Yeah. So thank you, RSA team. Thank you, security analyst, the way you explained each and everything, and Mr. CISO. So for security analyst, I have a question like that. So how the solution can help us for the phishing wherever users are working from home? At the moment, we are going to integrate the solution with the with the corporate emails and wherever users has access of the personal email. So how we can help us to mitigate such kind of attack in the future wherever users are not working, from the office. So is there any solution, and is there any way to integrate them also to find out?
Okay, so if I get your question correct, is in a work from home situation like COVID today, how do we get that sort of visibility, right? So there's two things that happens when you work from home, right? Some organizations still very much rely on physical VPN, and then they VPN back into their organization. What we are able to see is the traffic. As long as they enter the organization, we are going to capture each and every traffic in your physical database, in your physical data center, I mean. So anything that enters into your physical data center, we are going to capture the traffic. Anything that happens between your employee's laptop to the internet, that's something that we won't be able to capture. Now, that is on the physical data center perspective. So we will address that issue even in a work from home situation. Assuming today you are on the cloud, and there was actually a question that was asked about AWS monitoring, and I kind of attempt to answer both questions at the same time. We support network capture on the cloud as well. So if it's AWS traffic, in another word, you have an employee working from home connecting to the cloud, whether it's AWS, for instance, we are able to tap the cloud traffic in AWS. We call it VPC traffic, whereby we collect the network traffic on the cloud, we analyze it, and we treat it like how you basically have just seen the demo, whether it's on premise or in the cloud. So the entire aim for what we are trying to do is to give you a frictionless experience wherever your data is, because that's what we need to do. We have to be ever ready for collection in a boundary-free environment, if I may put it this way, with work from home and all this. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pushpendra. Satyendra ji, go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, hi Vikas. Thank you so much. Actually, my question was around somewhat around the question which Pushpendra actually asked. Right. So I got the answer to the extent. One more question with respect to that is it a centrally hosted application, or that will also be somewhat like agent installation on all the devices which are available within the premises, and that will connect to the central agent, and the analysis is going to happen. So just wanted to know whether it's a single utility which will be running on a database, central database, or it will be it actually requires to be installed on all the systems around the organization. So that's a simple question.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I can take this question. So generally, when you look at what basically what we just presented was essentially what we call an evolved SIEM, right? A SIEM, SIEM, is typically very log focused and log centric. What we were trying to exhibit was basically the use of network packets in a lot of our customer environment to do impact assessment. So I will focus on how do we collect network packets, because SIEM is pretty straightforward. You collect from the servers, the devices. How we collect network traffic basically is through two ways. One is, imagine you have a core switch that basically all traffic within your organization go through. We will basically be able to tap from your core switch a set of the traffic that goes through the core switch, tap it out into NetWitness, and we do analysis. That's one way. Another way is we basically put a network tab that intercepts, I won't call it intercepts, that sits in between your core switch and your other network segment. The traffic goes from other network segment to the physical tab. From the tab, sends a copy of the traffic to NetWitness and send another copy of traffic to your core switch. Again, all that we're doing is to create a frictionless setup for you. And what it also means for you is your time to value for this solution is almost immediate, because if I were to tap traffic out from your core switch, it is a matter of maybe 30 minutes of configuration, and you're going to get that real-time analysis right in front of you within that 30 minutes. Hope I also answered that question correctly.
Yeah. Because if you allow me, I have a follow-up question on that.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So whatever data which is basically being passed through your NetWitness application, or you can say AWS server, right? So the control of that data is with the organization, client organization, or with the NetWitness, basically the owner organization of that application.
Sorry, if you don't mind, could you just repeat that question again? I apologize.
So I'm saying, so say for example, you said that the data will be, that traffic will be passed through your NetWitness application at some point of time, right? For the analysis and all. So my question is, that data which is basically passing through your application will be stored on your servers also, or it will just pass through it, get analyzed, and the rest of the thing will be get deleted or somewhere stored at our own application, the organization who's actually purchasing it.
Okay, we will store a copy of the data in our databases, which is actually sitting, in this case, if it's a physical database, sitting in your database, in your data center. So that copy of data, although we collect it, is owned by you. Now, we can determine how long do we want to keep those data. Typically, we don't keep it for very long. And the reason is, one of the key things about NetWitness is we take the data and we analyze it immediately. We do not actually, keep it and then analyze it 2 days later, 1 month later, but we analyze them immediately. We alert you immediately. We shorten the attacker dwell time by doing so. So what I'm trying to say is we keep it, number one, we keep it in our own databases, which is sitting in your physical data center. Number two, we can decide how long we want to keep these artifacts. So for instance, you see in the demo that we were able to reconstruct the files that were sent out via FTP traffic. We can determine how long that particular file is sitting in our database. It could be 7 days, it could be 14 days, for instance. So we could make that decision on how long we want to do that.
Qiangming, I guess the question was more related to just not the incident artifacts. It's the data, the traffic itself.
Exactly.
Right? So are we going to hold the traffic itself in our appliances, or we only hold the artifacts about the incidents and any malicious content, if so?
Okay, we do not. Okay, if I understand the question correctly, we do not intercept the traffic and hold it and not release the traffic, if that's what the question is. We basically collect the traffic using a network tab. What the network tab does is, traffic goes into the tab, one copy of the traffic comes to us, the same copy of the traffic goes to where it's supposed to go to. So we do not intercept the traffic at all. I'm not sure if that is what the question is. I apologize if I'm not getting it correctly.
No, that's okay.
Now you've said it, Qiangming. The question, whether it's an inline device or not is the question, right? So yeah, that's something that.
Okay, got it.
So I would like to explore this product further. So probably after this session, we can connect and get to know the product with I can say in detail.
We'll certainly be happy to do that.
Great. Maybe if someone can drop the chat in the chat, the contact for RSA, that will be great, and Satyendra can get in touch. So that could be done. Next, we have Mr. Rajan Arora. Rajanji, please go ahead, unmute yourself, ask your question.
Hi, thanks Vikas and EliteCISO team and RSA team for such a nice session. It was really very relevant to the real life situation in SOC actually. So thanks for that. My question is that in regard with the capability of this solution in consuming logs with open source platforms, whether it is container environment or databases. So what is, just want to know about that.
What is the different role about, sorry? The different role.
What is the capability of the solution in consuming logs with open source platforms, whether it's a container environment or like Kubernetes or databases, MySQL, etc.?
Are you saying in terms of SIEM, what is our collection capability in this open source platform? Okay. Great, good question, because this is a question that's being asked quite a fair bit. So let me use cloud as an example, right? So we are ready for cloud collection today, right? That's one of the key things. We are also to a certain extent ready for, say, IT and OT collection as well. So, you know, where you put a very good example, which is Docker. Everybody today is, you know, whenever we are exploring Docker, we are having a lot of challenges trying to get visibility into Docker because Docker work in containers environment, right? So that is actually one of the initiatives that we are doing. The RSA engineering team actually sits in Bangalore, and that is one thing that they are very actively exploring. In fact, you know, with a few of our partners, right, partner customer, exploring on how do we gain deeper visibility into Docker's environment today. So what I'm trying to say is we might not have 100% visibility into Docker's environment, but I do know that, you know, our engineering team who's sitting in Bangalore are actually actively working on it. In fact, working with some of our key partners as well. So I hope that kind of answers your question. So we do have visibility into certain things such as cloud, for instance. Docker is something that's work in progress, for instance.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chongming. I think that was the last comment or question, guys. So what you see on the screen is a participation certificate. If you want to download a similar participation certificate, what you can do is go to EliteCISO's website, click on events, upcoming events, and then you will see these events listed out there. Click on CP certificate link and then fill this particular form, put your email address, put your full name, and the secret to download the certificate is SOC. All small case, put SOC and you will get a certificate with your name. You can use this certificate for your CP credit hours in ISACA or ISC2. And once you are here to download the certificate, you can also register for the CTF we are having for CISOs and CIOs. This is on coming Saturday on 14th August itself. The entry is going to be little restricted on this one. We are going to review all the submissions and there will be 2 slots. The first slot will have only 70 people in that because it's a live CTF. We have to manage different modalities and the platform as well. So go ahead and register. And then you will get a separate confirmation email for this event. Again, a different format which we are trying, like the one we experimented today with the role playing. It went very well. And the similar, we are trying live CTF just for CIOs and CISOs. So you can register for this as well. And this is a weekend session, right? Now the weekday session that we do every Thursday, 11 o'clock. Next week, we have this session with Sophos. And it is going to be, again, one of a kind. We are going to do a case study around how to build a virtual SOC. So people will be divided into groups of 5 to 7 people. There will be Zoom breakout rooms. There will be a leader for each group. So again, a different format, which we are trying. Again, entry is restricted. We cannot have 200 people doing a case study. So maybe 70 to 80 people we will have in this session as well. Registrations are open, guys. You are more than welcome to go ahead and register for it. That's for the events and downloading the participation certificate. Now, the last thing that everybody is waiting for is the Wheel of Fortune that we run in every webinar. So we had about 275 people registering, and I see about 120 people right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this. If your name comes, go to the chat and say, yes, you are in the webinar. And we will give away one Amazon Alexa. Okay, guys, good luck to everyone. I'm going to start it now. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Mohan from Novak Technology. Mr. Mohan, if you are there in the session, go to the chat and say yes. I don't see any yes coming in the chat, so I'm going to spin it again. And you have to be fast, guys. If I spin it, somebody else's name comes, then that person will be the winner. Amit Mahajan from American Tower Corporation. Mr. Amit, if you are there, go to the chat and say yes. I don't see anything in the chat. I'm going to spin it one more time. If you are still not there, then I will keep the Amazon Alexa. Every room has got Amazon in my house. I'm not sure where I will put it. The next one. Okay, Mr. Rajiv Khade. Mr. Rajiv Khade, are you there? I don't think Mr. Rajiv is also there. So I'm going to keep it, guys. Thank you very much. That's what I can say.
Actually, Rajiv is there in the participant attendees list, but yeah, but I can see his name.
He did not come to the chat. No, Abhishek is saying give me. So should I run it one more time, or what do I do, guys? Long wait. Yeah, long wait is gone. Okay. Alok is saying 2 more. Okay, 1 more. I'm going to run it one more time, guys. Okay. We have time. It's 11:58. Okay, let me run it. Let's see. Abhishek Mathur, very nice. Congrats. And I think Abhishek said give it to me, right? Let me see. Who said give it to me?
Yes, it was Abhishek. Yeah.
It was Abhishek. Great. What a telepathy, Abhishek. Great. Congratulations. Thanks a lot. Send me a WhatsApp and we will share it with you. That's about it. 11:59. Perfect timing for this one. Thanks, NetWitness team. Thanks, RSA team. I mean, it's been a great session. Thanks everyone for joining in. See you guys hopefully on Saturday as well as Thursday. Okay, guys. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.